Welcome back to another episode of Leading Our Own Way. We're well into 2026 now. I bring that up because you see a Christmas tree behind Mel. It's hilarious. Anyway, today's conversation, our chat, is a beautiful one. It's one of raw courage, deep vulnerability, and unfiltered truth. I'm joined by the amazing Mel Maree White. This is her just here behind me. She's absolutely incredible. She's such a beautiful person. And she's a woman whose journey will definitely challenge you to reflect on your own path. Now, we share the same surname. Never had that before on Leading Our Own Way. First of many, I hope. Well, and we're not lost cousins or anything, I promise. Well, from surviving childhood sexual abuse to facing the darkness of suicidal thoughts and attempts, Mel's story is a testament of pure power, the power of resilience, and definitely the human spirit. She opens up about the battles she faced, not just with her own mental health, but in the complexities of motherhood, family dynamics, and the lifelong process of healing. Mel's decision to move across states in search of new beginning, her struggle to reconnect with family, and her unwavering commitment to self-discovery all will resonate with anyone who ever felt lost, broken, or even alone. It's not just a story of survival. We're here. It's got to be deeper. It's about choosing to lead your own way, even when the road is steep and uncertain. Anyway, here's Mel and myself after the intro, and a special mention from our sponsors. Enjoy the episode and make sure you come back for part 2 on Wednesday. Tuesday Truth drops tomorrow. Anyway, here's Mel and myself. Welcome to Leading Our Own Way. I'm your host, Andrew White, and this is the podcast that unveils captivating narratives of resilience and personal triumph. This podcast is for anyone seeking inspiration and insights on overcoming life's challenges. Follow and subscribe, and then we can lead together forever. Before we dive in, I want to give a big, massive shout out to our now new proud sponsor, Eshu Skincare, a brand that truly aligns with leading our own way. This Australian-born company is dedicated to keeping skincare simple, effective, and straightforward. They've made waves in the US, even landed in Macy's and over 300 stores, and now they're back with a renewed focus on healthy skin and real results. If you want authentic skincare that fits your lifestyle, check them out in the show notes. Thanks to Eshu Skincare for supporting real stories and mental fitness on Leading Our Own Way. And if you're interested in sponsoring like Eshu Skincare, drop us a message. We'd love to connect. Mel, you have a bit of a message for those who are listening. What is that message?
Yeah, it is one thing I do want to say is those listening to me who hurt me, is thankful for hurting me. Thank you for taking advantage of someone hurting. Thank you for doubting me, and thank you for laughing in my face. Thank you for taking my innocence away, because all of this has made me who I am today.
Well, Mel, that's pretty powerful stuff, and I know we're going to get into your journey, but first of all, I want to say welcome to Leading Our Own Way. Thanks for joining me on my journey. It's such an honour to have you here. We've been speaking for quite a while now, haven't we? And it's a pleasure to have you finally on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. It's such an honour. Well, for those out there listening, Mel Maree White, we're not related, but we've got the same surname.
You do.
Maybe you're a long-lost cousin that I didn't know about, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe, never know.
You never know. Thanks for joining me on my journey, Mel. It's again, it's such an honour to have you here. Your journey is so powerful. It's quite hard to take in. It's quite hard to dissect. So thanks for being vulnerable. It's I hope I create a safe space for you to share yours. You know.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, the title of the podcast, as you know, Mel, is called Leading Our Own Way. We're going to get into how you're doing that, but if I was to ask you where your mental state is currently at on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being the worst, rock bottom, where would you, and 10 being obviously contentment, where would you say you lie?
I say I'm probably at a 8 at the moment. I feel like these last few months there's been huge growth, and continuously I will continue on that journey of doing so. But I do think definitely an 8. I'm sitting pretty good, and there is still things that I need to work on, but that's just, with growth.
And that's important to say that, right? Because even those who are thriving still have their moments that we're still human, we still dip, right? I've not been having my cold plunges in the last few weeks because it's been school holidays. It messes me up. So I feel the slump here and there. I've dug into a little bit more chocolate than I normally do. You know what I mean? We're human, right? We that happens. So it's important to say that. In your journey then, where you're going to take us today, where do you think we might see that scale go down to?
Uh, Scale go down to.
Yeah, so parts of the journeys we're obviously gonna open up on today, and if you could talk to your younger self and I could ask that younger Mel that same question of the scale from 0 to 10, where do you think that scale might sit at the darkest point that we're gonna get into?
Definitely in the lower points. I'd say like a 1 to a 0. There's some pretty low points and that I've been through.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it, and I know it stems back quite a long time, but it's also of more recent times, wasn't it? That would you say you were at that lower end? Where do you think that would have been in terms of time then in the last period of time? Like how long ago would you say you were at your lowest point?
Um, I would say like last year, probably start of last year, maybe
Yeah,
March, maybe would have
so
been.
around 2025. Wow.
Um, yeah, so it was quite low and dark. Yeah, definitely.
So really, in the last 9 months, then that's when you started to really lead your own way.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
I think it's a beautiful spot to start on. As you know, the podcast is called Leading Our Own Way. How would you consider then that you are leading your own way then today, Mel?
I think physically, I'm going to the gym every morning, super early. I have now started to back off as I've started to heal certain things, and I'm starting to go at night time now, which has been really lovely. Having that extra sleep in the morning. As everyone knows, your cortisol levels and stuff go up when you're not sleeping well. So the reason I was getting up so early is because I had quite high cortisol levels, and I was just not sleeping well. But now that I'm starting to heal and starting to feel me again, which is really good, I'm getting like a really good balance of the gym and going in the afternoon now when I'm ready for it. So physically, basically, emotionally, I'm looking after that in every aspect I can possibly do, including I've deactivated all of my social media and just really focused on me wholly. Spent a lot of like solitude time to just get to know myself, basically dating myself, I would say, and just, doing those things that I wouldn't want to do on my own and feeling uncomfortable just being alone. And then mentally, just really working on those things that we take for granted. There's a lot of things that we take for granted in life, and for me, I've just been reading books and listening to podcasts, and just really, really like getting into my spiritual side as well, which has been absolutely amazing. I haven't ever looked on the spiritual side of things. I've had a very, high intuition and never listened to it. But now that I am, things are falling into place, and it's just such a beautiful journey.
Yeah, nice. Well, I want to touch on the sleep and the gym thing in a second, but why do you think you never listen to to your intuition then?
I think it stems back from childhood. I used to get really bad sore stomachs and just really feel like something bad was always going to happen. So it was like I was on edge all the time. So that intuition threw me off as an adult. Every time I got that, I felt something bad was going to happen. It did happen. And I didn't listen to it because I thought it was my childhood was just, ingrained in me. But I feel as if I knew these things now, there's a few things I could change, and there's definitely paths that I probably wouldn't have gone down that I went down. But I don't regret anything. Like I said, everything we do in life is for a reason, season, or a lifetime. And so for me, it was important that I did go down those pathways to learn these lessons.
And have you fallen in love with listening to your intuition now? Does it work for you?
So amazing. Like, honestly, just even a few months ago, I started talking to somebody. Straight away, I knew, I seen the red flags, understood it, and I diverted away straight away. There was no attachment, and I could tell that they wanted to keep talking, wanted to see me, all the rest of it. But I knew straight away. It was like my intuition was like, nope, we've been here before. We're not going down this pathway. So yeah, it was really good to know that and very powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. So for those who are sitting there going, God, how do you see these red signs, red alerts, red flags? What was the red flag for that person then that you saw?
But it was just in the past, I had been through the same red flags, and I just, there was love bombing, there was, all of that sort of stuff. And it just, to me, I was just like, okay, like it's too good to be true. I felt the feeling. And yeah, I just was like, nope, I'm not even going to give you, like, there was nothing, nothing. I was like, nope, I'm done. So I just
Yeah.
knew straight away. I
Well,
knew
you
my
know what though?
worth.
That's because you're focused on the essentials that your mind and body needs, right? Your sleep, your food, your exercise, you're fulfilling your purpose. You've moved from the darkness and you're giving everything it needs. So yeah, because you're right. There's actually a neuroscientist that I'm trying to interview, and she's brought a book out called Signs, and she talks about how we give the body the 3 innate things that we need, obviously through food and sleep and exercise and so on, without going to too much science here. But she says as soon as we give the body the basis of what it needs, just every human needs, like imagine yourself being an ancestor thousands of years ago, hundreds of thousands of years ago, that's all they could do, right? Would be sleep, to eat, defend themselves and so on. The body's getting everything it needs. So then they can access the intuition part of their brain and be one more creative, use their gut feelings. They say the fastest way to the brain is through your gut, and that stems back to your stomach hurting maybe, and that fear, that anxiety kicking in. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with your going back to your sleep, then, what was the difference of working out? I know it fitted your life at the moment. It works differently now for you, but that shift between working out in the morning versus at night, because when our brain's waking up, cortisol naturally rises anyway. But obviously, if you're waking up before the brain actually really wants to wake up, then obviously cortisol's a lot higher. But what was the difference for you working out in the morning versus at night? What benefits or not benefits? What was it for you?
So I definitely think it changed me. I was very tired, but the thing is, I would wake up at 2:30 without an alarm, and I was like, "Why is my body waking up at 2:30? 3 o'clock?" And I couldn't get back to sleep. So I started to get into a bit of a routine of going to the gym that early. And some mornings I just got up and I went, and like I enjoyed it, I did. But then it was coming to the point where I was feeling like this is a chore. This is actually really tolling on my body. Like I was moody, I was exhausted, and I'd have naps during like the afternoon when, I needed to be doing things for my kids or whatnot. And I just noticed I couldn't keep doing it. And I went from 60 kilos now to 70 kilos. But I'm healthy and I'm fit and like I'm loving who I am and, all the flaws that I have. Before I was just looking at a complete different version of myself, if that makes sense. So I feel like we're our biggest critics. We look at ourselves in the mirror and we're like, oh, I want to change this, this, and this. And it's like, well, no, you need to love yourself first with your curves, with your stretch marks, with all the things that you've got. And you need to love them first. And for me, I was like, no, I need to stop punishing my body. I'm getting up far too early and this isn't feeling great in the end. So it wasn't until, yeah, not long ago, literally, I was like, you know what? I'm going to start going at night time. So I went on a Saturday night when everyone's out drinking and having fun and all the rest of it. I'm there training, and it was actually a few people there and whatnot. And then it started from that, from a Saturday night to then go Sunday night. And then I was like Monday, and it just followed on. So I'd only, train 5 days a week and had my two rest days and stuff. But it was just really beautiful to know that instead of going out and spending money and abusing the body and all the rest of it, I was there and I was empowering my body. I was nurturing my body. I was looking after my body, and I was giving and filling my cup up in healthy ways, not in a way that the next day I'm going to feel horrible and I'm going to sleep all day because I'd been out all night. Yeah, so
So did that result in you being more present with your family? Were you, because you mentioned moods, were you in less moods then? Did you see?
100%. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Great. So stick with it for a bit then and see how it works.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
It's weird sleep, isn't it? I started reading a book on sleep and then I started to come across words I didn't fully understand. So I had to go to read more about the brain and go back to the sleep. And it's like my books go back and forth. And I love saying this about sleep. I say this to kids all the time because, kids are on devices left, right, and center, aren't they? And they don't eat well in the day, which impacts the brain at night and so on. But if you think about it, right, our human physiology has been around for like 4 or 5 million years. Sleep is still in the human repertoire. We've not eradicated it, but we've manipulated food, ultra processed foods and stuff like that. But the human body wants to, the three things we all want to do is reproduce, defend itself, and eat. All those three things you cannot do when you're sleeping. That just shows you how important sleep is, because you'd think the brain and the body would have got rid of sleep so they could do those three things, but it hasn't done in 4.5 million years. Like, it's still
Yeah,
part
it's
of.
very interesting as well.
It is, isn't it? When
Yeah.
somebody told me that, I was like, God damn, I'm going to use that. That is so powerful. Like, we cannot do the three things we are put on this earth to do. We cannot do it. That's how important sleep is. We cannot get rid of it. Anyway, there you go. Food for thought.
Yeah.
So with you then, you've painted a beautiful picture. Where does that fit into your purpose of what you do? I don't know, professionally as well. What do you do professionally on a daily basis now?
So I work in disability. I worked for about 13 years in the healthcare industry. So I worked in aged care for most of my time, and then the last few years have been in disability. I've always had a passion to help, and I always want to see people with a brighter smile at the end of the day. And if I can be part of that, then that warms my heart. So that's where it lies with me. Otherwise, I probably would have become a hairdresser if I didn't have that kind of heart and passion and empathy. So yeah.
I love that. Yeah. The reason why I wrote my book, How to Lead with Purpose, it's because I wanted, part of my journey was with getting up every day and being fucking not wanting to go to work. Because even though I chased my dream, moved to the side of the world to chase my dream, I got to a point where I just didn't want to get up. Did not want to get up to go to work, counting those minutes down, even the drive to work, things like that, like counting the hours to the finish line. Like, it was horrible. I'm really passionate about people going to work, getting up in the morning and being happy. So they go to work not feeling that Sunday night fever or that Monday morning dread or that even feeling Wednesday's a hump day. I hear that and I go, well, there's another person counting down the week. We're at hump day. I actually get to a Monday. Sometimes I'm in work because I left teaching. I do this full time, but I also casually teach. And some days I'll work 5 days a week. Some I'll do a bit less. But there'll be days where the teachers know exactly what time it is, what day it is, what day of the term it is, what week of the term it is, what term it is. Sometimes I go, oh, what day is it? And I love it. I actually don't know what day it is. That proves to me I got rid of my cortisol, my chronic stress, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I could ramble on about that all day. That's a different episode. So where do you think your love for disability came from then?
It's definitely so after I had my son, I noticed that there was a few things in him that, to me, my intuition once again wasn't lining up. And I kept saying to myself, and I said to his dad as well, I said, there's something going on with him, behavior, all the rest of it. And it was like I could only understand him. And for me, I remember I was walking past a shop window one day. It's called a Ford. It was in Brisbane, and I was walking past there, and I had no idea what this place was. And it was funny. I walked in there, and started chatting to the lady, and I was looking for a job at the time, and told her my passions and stuff, and she's like, "Oh, we're actually a disability company." And anyways, I got the job. Worked there, and that's where my passion just started to really grow. Like, I was like, yep, this is. And then not long after that, my son was diagnosed, and he was diagnosed with ADHD and in autism spec as well. So for me, my intuition said there was something wrong. I fought for a bit with the doctors, and there was a bit of a battle going, no, we can't see anything. So I used to record his behavior, and there was like food sensitivities, emotion regulation. Like, it was a really, really hard job on its own, let alone going out and working. more I worked at Afford, I started to realize that, he really was just trying to show me in his way that he wasn't coping. And I started to understand that through my job, which then made me a better mum in understanding, which then made me a better teacher to show, his dad at the time and family members, because no one really believed me that he was struggling. He wasn't just a naughty boy. He really couldn't handle his emotions. Like, I remember it was close to Father's Day once, and we went to Target, and we were just, as we were like about to walk out, he had a huge meltdown, and everyone's staring at me, and it was really embarrassing. And he's just grabbed the whole card rack of Father's Day and just thrown it, because the cardboard stand ones. Yeah,
Yeah.
he threw it and started ripping them all up and screaming, and I didn't know what to do. This lady, I'll never forget it. She comes over. She was one of the managers from the store. She's like, "Love, are you okay?" And I said, "No, I'm not." She's like, "I know." She then told everybody, "There's nothing to see here. Keep walking. Nothing to see." She said to me, she held my hand. She's like, "Look, at the end of the day, he's just not coping. Let's just let him finish ripping up the cards." I said, "I'm so sorry." She goes, "It's fine. We'll let him rip them up. And once he starts to regulate, we'll go from there." So in the time, she did try and offer him a lollipop, and that would not work. So when someone has a meltdown, the best thing to do, make sure they're safe and just step back and allow them to have that time. And
That's
so
right.
if she hadn't have done that, I would have been standing there probably crying by this stage and feeling so embarrassed, but it was just one kind soul that, had the heart to actually say that, and just it really helped me. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it was so many things and so many times we've had with my son that's really pushed me to boundaries. But yeah.
Man, that's a beautiful story, though. It's so important, isn't it? Someone like that understood, and that started maybe the part of the journey for you to help understand at a deeper level too, because somebody else was able to model that for you both, not just for your son, but for you also, in a very public place. Because it can feel embarrassing. It feels like your whole world wants to just be swallowed up, doesn't it? And what a beautiful person to hold that space for you, for not just for your son, but for you as well. It's so right though, like that, and that's the problem with the education system. We don't everything's so time skewed. People don't understand the brain and the expression of the problems. That behavior isn't the problem. That behavior, that reaction, should I say, is the expression of a problem. Right? They're not naughty
Yep.
boys or naughty girls or naughty. It's an
No.
expression. Even adults who commit crimes, I know their brains are fully developed and whatnot, and they're making mistakes, and deep down they probably do know it's a wrong thing to do, but it's still an expression in their core of what's going on for them, whether it's childhood, whether it's food, as you mentioned, or whether it's trauma, whatever it may be. It's an expression of a problem, and that's where we need to go. Stop reacting to the problem that's faced right in front of us, but go to the root and hold space. Because the prefrontal cortex, the regulation part of your brain, is switched off when you're unregulated, when you're in a moment like that. So you could offer a lolly, you could try and talk to them, but they ain't listening. It's switched off. Every child's slightly different,
Yep.
but on average, I don't know the time frame, 8, 10, 11 minutes, whatever it may be, it takes time for that prefrontal cortex to come back online. And only then you can actually start to talk in a calm, nice, relaxed way to that person. And that's when at schools, these behaviors, or they get suspended, or they have to go up to the well-being room. Actually, the teacher doesn't have time to sit and hold space for them. They have to get somebody else to come in. Then they get removed, which isolates them and disconnects them to the world as well within itself. They know they're being removed, and if they are throwing things around the room nowadays, they get the rest of the class and move them out, which I understand from a safety point, because other parents might complain, "Hey, I don't want that chair hitting my son because another child's unregulated." I get it, but when you are removing everybody else, you are creating a disconnect. Now, I don't have the perfect answer to that, but when you're removing everybody and you're the only one staying in that room, you are creating a disconnect. and
Yeah.
But I know the other alternative probably is the better option because of safety of 20 children. But it's so hard, isn't it, to get right? Anyway, I could
It
go on about that
is.
forever. Yeah. So what other? I'm quite passionate about that stuff as well. That's just the teacher in me, but bringing in the brain stuff, right? And I think that's where we need to teach parents and education systems and teachers and leaders around that side of things too, because we'll be able to help these children on a much deeper level. With your son, then. how has that journey evolved with you understanding what you understand now for you as a mother? Just taking a very quick break to thank our sponsor, Eshu Skincare. If you haven't heard of them, Eshu Skincare started right here in Australia, using Australian ingredients to make skincare straightforward and accessible, especially for men who want results without the fuss. Their journey took them all the way to the US, where they were featured in Macy's and over 300 stores. Now they're back with a fresh approach, focusing on healthy skin and authenticity for everyone. I'm proud to have Eshu Skincare as a sponsor on Leading Our Own Way. See the show notes for their website and to see how you can keep your skin healthy and confident. And if you're interested in sponsoring like Eshu Skincare, drop us a message. We'd love to hear from you. Now, right back to the episode.
Oh, it's a lot. Like it even stems me back to my own childhood. Like I reckon if I didn't have my son, I wouldn't know these things about myself. He's literally probably been, like honestly, like him coming into my life, I feel like has been the biggest like blessing because it's not only allowed me to be his mum, which is a huge blessing, but it's also allowed me to know I'm normal. Like there's so many people out there these days who are getting diagnosed with ADHD. Like I was diagnosed at 30 with ADHD. And my whole life, I literally was like, why do I feel different? Why is this? Why is that? And you know, the funny thing now, I've got girlfriends now coming to me who I would never think, who I'd never ever think would even want to know or think that they've got ADHD. But they're like, but Mel, I'm like this too. I do this. And I feel this way. And I'm like, well, maybe, you need to go and, navigate and have a look into what that means and whatnot. Because I'm no doctor, I can't diagnose people, but I do know, certain things. And it's just beautiful to know that now that's allowing people to understand that they also have got a mask on and that they're, hiding things because they don't want people to think that they're not normal. I am who I am at the end of the day and I can't change who I am. So I'm like, it's time to just embrace that.
Absolutely, I agree. Yeah, totally. It's a lot of beauty has come out of that, then, isn't it? I'm the same as you. I love digging into all of this. I've read books on ADHD, and I've had some neuroscientists and behavioral experts on the show, and I've had exercise and nutritionist Amelia Phillips, for example, is from the Today Show. She's been on the show as a guest, and we went to, I don't know if you saw that episode, but we spoke at a cellular level, and she actually has a business called, and I'm not selling it here, but I think it's called Vitality 360, and she does a lot of blood testers, checks the
Yes,
biomarkers.
and
Yeah, you might have heard of it. And you do gene tests and understanding our cells, our genes, understanding our genes and the expression of our genes tell us what our bodies can convert and switch on and off and things like that. And then apparently that's something to do with the root causes of our ADHD, outside of maybe trauma. But, for example, you and I could have the same car crash, be in the same moments, in the same experience, a very similar thing, but look at it completely different and feel differently about it. You could get out of it and go, oh, that was a bad day. And I could go into a big, deep depression because of that event, and that's apparently to do with the expression of our genes being switched on and off and how we can switch our genes on and off with movement, with exercise, with good sleep and good food and all of those things. And what we're putting into our bodies, can it utilize the nutrients that's going into our body? If it can't, that can cause our brains to race and cause issues and anxiety or depression, whatever it may be. I'm just going off what I'm learning from all these people and the books I've read. It's just fascinating, and I'd love more people to learn about this type of thing so we can get to the root and manage whatever it is that we've got much easier. Do you know what I mean? Oh,
yeah.
I love it. Oh, it's a beautiful journey that you've been on, and you've learned so much more about it. So did that all happen for you then because I know you've moved from Victoria to Queensland in Australia, and I say that because I have viewers in America and the UK, so we have states here like the United States, but we have states in here. So you move from Victoria, which is a state where Melbourne sits, but Brisbane is in the state of Queensland. Did you have both of your children up there, or did you move from Victoria with your children?
Yeah, so we owned a house in Victoria, me and my ex, and we basically rented that out. We moved up for a little bit just to get the feel of area and stuff. We were in Brisbane for a bit, so we moved there, rented for a couple, I think it was about 2 years. Then we decided we would go back because my dad was diagnosed with cancer, and I just felt that I couldn't not be a part of, the rest of his journey and whatnot. Um, but as I went back, I soon realized why I had moved away, and how it affected me mentally, physically, and emotionally. So we decided to then sell our house, which was quite heartbreaking because it was our everything. We loved it. And then we moved up to Sunshine Coast. So yeah,
There's
it
always
was the
look.
family.
I've moved from the side of the world, so there's always reasons why you move, and I know we're going to dig into it. But let's go back to Victoria. Then let's go back to your childhood. Let's go where you grew up, because I'm in Victoria. Where about I'm near the Torquay area. I'm a little town called, Well, actually, I won't say it, just in case anyone wants to stalk me or haunt me after I've had an interview. But I'm near the Great
Well,
Ocean
I
Road.
got married in Mount Martha.
Oh, did you? Oh, nice. Where are you from in
Yeah, I did.
Victoria
Yeah,
then?
from Victoria. Yeah.
Uh, And you got married in Mount Martha, because that's on the other side of the bay, isn't it? Mount Martha, I think. I used to live in a place called Chelsea. Do you
Yeah,
know where
yeah,
that is?
yeah.
Yeah, cool. So talk to us a little bit about your childhood then. You grew up in Victoria. You left the cold. Most people in England think there's no cold in Australia. What are you talking about, Andy? But it gets pretty cold here.
Well, I was
You
in Antarctica.
not that bad. But compared to where you are
Freezing.
in Queensland, I'm sure, yeah, it does get a bit cold here, doesn't it? I hear all the people, oh, you Melburnians down there, it's too cold, I'm living up here. But I feel, coming from England, this is quite nice, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How long you been up there anyway?
So it's been a few years now.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
cool. So talk to us a little bit about your childhood. How was your childhood growing up? What was the house? If I was um, a fly on the wall, what it would have been like for Mel?
Wow. If you were a fly on the wall, you wouldn't stay long,
Oh,
that's for sure.
okay.
It was up and down. As a child, there was, yeah, many times, like, it was hard. It was definitely hard. I had three older brothers. So you could just imagine what that would kind of be like at times. A bit rough.
Yeah. Taught
But
you a
yeah,
lot
I
though, I
grew
guess.
up, yeah, definitely they did, yeah. Grew up on a farm,
Oh,
which
beautiful.
is funny because I don't look like a farm girl. But the thing is, I don't mind getting dirty and all the rest of it. And, I am pretty, like, I'm pretty hands-on when it comes to getting things done and whatnot. So it wasn't like, ew, I don't like, I'm not going to touch the dirt or the horse poo or whatever. At the end of the day, it is what you had to do, and collect the eggs and stuff from the chooks. And petrified of snakes, only because I've seen one on the farm once, and that was enough for me. And I still hold that to this day.
Don't you see more snakes up
Yeah,
there?
so, well, I actually haven't, touch wood.
Oh, that's
I
why I don't want to
haven't.
move up there, because it's so many snakes.
Yeah, no, I haven't. Yeah, so being a little girl growing up, it was really hard because, like, I could never regulate my emotions and never really understood that why. Mum and dad never really believed in, mental diagnosis and whatnot. I think that it was almost like a proud thing, like you don't want to, think that your children have something wrong with them, or whatever. And I think it stems back from when they were children because it was like a bit taboo. You're not really meant to, yeah, talk about it or have it or whatever. Um, so yeah, there was many things that I went through as a child that I think a lot of kids probably hadn't been through. So it was hard for me to navigate that on its own, let alone what was going on within me. I was diagnosed with depression at 7 years old, by the
7.
doctor. Yeah, I was put on antidepressants. And now looking back, it's kind of like I didn't have depression. It was ADHD, but it was undiagnosed and dismissed as depression. So I went on depression tablets and I still just didn't feel me. Like I just didn't feel right. It was just was very low. I'd always act like I was happy because that was just, what we would do. But as a child, there was like a lot of things in the family home that I had to deal with as well. Mum and dad's marriage wasn't always, always very happy and I would say loving, which was hard for me because growing up with that and seeing that was heartbreaking. Um, and it was like a lot of things which won't go into detail with like dad and all that sort of thing, but there was a lot of things that I sort of didn't understand and I still to this day don't understand, but I accept. And I think you have to accept people as they are, and who they are and not judge them because we don't know what's going through their head and all the rest of it. Dad did drink a lot. Um, and in the end, like it's definitely caught up to him. And I think that's been a huge thing for me now to realize that our bodies are so, so important and what we put into it is so important, including, like just really looking after it. But yeah, watching when dad come up here to visit, he spent most of his time in hospital and there was a few times I thought, "No, dad's not coming out. This is it." And it sort of put things in perspective. Like if he'd listened to the doctor many years ago about stop drinking and whatnot, then I think things could be different, but it didn't. But for me, yeah, just watching my mum break a lot when she was, trying to raise us kids, and at times she was kind of like a single mum because dad had to go away for work a lot. He worked in the horse industry. So we had a couple of properties that dad would have to go and attend to, with the horses and horse racing and all the rest of it. I did kind of feel like dad put the horses before us kids, which was really hard. I mean, at the end of the day, like you're only a kid for so long, and yeah, once you grow up and you start to realize that dad wasn't around as much as he should have been, it's hard. It's hard to realize that. And yeah, growing up was really hard for me because when I was a little girl, something happened to me, which I still hold to this day. And it is hard because you feel when you're a little girl, you can't speak out. You're scared to. You're scared because you're scared of judgment. You're embarrassed. Will they believe me? Will they not believe me? Who's going to get in trouble? Am I going to get in trouble? What are they going to do to me if they find out I spoke? So many things that I had running through my head, and I didn't know how to say it or who to say it to, who to trust. But I do remember telling, when I was a little girl, one of my cousins, and she kind of just like didn't really believe me, but she believed me. Like it felt like she wanted to believe me, but she didn't believe me. And yeah, I was sexually abused. I think it's hard because there's probably so many people this has happened to and they don't want to talk about it and it still to this day, hurts them and everything. But I was sexually abused for quite a few years on and off. And it's heartbreaking because it's taken away my innocence that I will never get back. Um, and it's also taken away a part of me that I don't really know if I'll ever get that back either. But one thing I do know is that speaking about it has shown me strength and it's empowered me also to come forward and tell my story because there is so many people out there, men and women, who have had this happen to, but they didn't want to talk about it and they still don't want to. But it's later on in life where it catches up to you, and it really catches up to you. And that's where it's caught up to me. It's caught up to me in the most horrible ways. But I can feel light at the end of the tunnel, and I can feel that I definitely am growing from it and understanding it. But for many years, I never understood. I said, why me? Why is this happening to me for? And I didn't want to tell anybody else, and I was scared to, but I opened up to one of my close older brothers, and I said to him and I told him about it. And then because he was so angry and he was so hurt that this could happen to his little sister and he couldn't defend her, he decided on Christmas Eve, Christmas night, sorry, when he was drinking, that it would be okay to tell the whole family and friends who were there. And it was hard for me because I was like, I couldn't breathe when I found out that he'd done that. It was like, you have betrayed my trust. I told you, I said, don't ever tell anyone, otherwise that's it. You'll never see me again. So obviously my husband at the time, he knew, because he'd known from 2 weeks in of us dating what had happened to me. And he's been the one person that could definitely hold me and understand me and know that I wasn't okay, and he'd always be there for me. And he said to me, what do we need to do? What's going to make things better? I said, there's nothing that's going to make anything better because it's out, it's done. But I don't want to be here anymore. And he said, what do you mean? I'm like, I just don't want to be here. He's like, okay, we'll sell the house, we'll leave. So that's where it takes us back to why we left. We left because I ran from the truth. I didn't want anyone to know about what happened and everything. But then I realized you can't run from things, you need to face them. And facing them head on is telling your story and getting it out there so other people don't have to endure that pain that you endured for many years and still do, but are working on it. So yeah, that's my childhood.
With the knowledge and the power in that knowledge that you have now, do you still, if you had that then, do you still think you would have made the move to Queensland?
It's a hard one because Queensland for me also is the sunshine, and it's the water. And those are things like, as a Scorpio, because I'm a Scorpio, I need water to balance me out. And I think I probably still would have moved because we've always spoken about it, about living in Queensland, and we'd always holiday here. So I think I definitely would still move, but I think there's a lot of things I would have done different, definitely.
What would you have done differently?
I wouldn't shut my family out for 3 years. I wouldn't, no way. Not with what I know now and how short life is. And, I lost my stepbrother. He had overdosed, and I hadn't spoken to him for years, and I've never been able to tell him that I'm sorry for shutting him out when I did. And I think this is the hardest thing, is when someone's gone and you can't tell them I'm sorry. That's hard because you have to live with that. And for me, it wasn't only just a stepbrother, it was a close friend as well. She was quite heavy in abusing her body and going out and whatnot. And the one thing that I never, ever, ever got to say to her either was I was sorry. I was sorry that when you needed me, I wasn't there for you. So it was hard knowing that. I guess that's one of my biggest regrets. But I know that I had to do what I had to do for me to be okay because of my children. My children needed me, so I needed to be okay.
Absolutely. It was the right decision for you in the moment, wasn't it? You went with your gut and you had to do it in the moment. So if you could say something to... actually, before I ask that, have you said anything to your family members that you shut out since? Have you spoken to them about that 3 years that you
So
blocked
I've
them out for?
recently reconnected. Yeah, I started reconnecting slowly by slowly. So first my mum and dad, and then one of my other brother, and then my other brother. So we all sort of connected again. Yeah, definitely. Um, doesn't feel the way it used to feel, but we've reconnected, and mum and dad come and spent some time up here when I needed them most. And through the whole separation of me and my husband, it's been about 16 months now, and that wasn't easy. That was hard. It's like people think that just because you're the one leaving and you're the one that's, doesn't want to be in that marriage anymore, it's easy. It's not. It's so, so hard, and it hurts. It does. But I've come to the realization that sometimes we need to let go of things that just don't align with our growth, where we're going, we're evolving, and spiritually me and him are just not on the same wavelength anymore. And, I think I want to work through my childhood trauma and deal with what I've held in for so many years and all the rest of it. But I don't think he's quite ready, and that's okay. We'll still be really good friends, and we'll still, co-parent and everything, but it's, as lovers, I just don't think that that's our path anymore. So, yeah.
It's a shame, isn't it? Because he seems like such a nice guy and who cares and deeply cares for you. But if you don't feel within it, what can you do? If you don't align in that way. But and it sounds like you've got a lot of respect for him still, which is amazing.
Honestly, he is one in a million. Even like my girlfriends have said, you hit jackpot. Before we got married, they even said, they're like, where did you find him? Does he have a brother? And I was like, he does, but I think his brother's taken. But yeah, so he's an amazing guy, and the next person who comes along to be with him, I hope that they treat him well. I really do, because he deserves nothing but the best.
Nice for you to say, and I'm sorry that you don't obviously feel, not, you're not sorry, but feel that way anymore. And do you think that what's happened to you then is impacted how you feel towards him, maybe?
No, I just feel like there's a lot of things that have happened, and it just made me realize within myself that how can I love somebody if I don't love myself truly,
Mm.
inside and out. And I've gotten to the point where I'm starting to really love myself, like, and I mean, like, even just the flaws of myself. Like, I've always been very self-conscious of my body, which is funny because you wouldn't think that, but stems back childhood. Dad got me into modeling. Absolutely hated it, didn't want to do it, hated my body and everything. But it was hard because when you have one concept of what you think your body is, and then the other concept of like what your body actually, you're looking at it and you're just like, hang on a second, like you look back at photos, you're like, oh my God, I was like so skinny and I was just so, this, that, and whatever. And then you look now and you're like, wow, like I've changed so much, but I love who I am now. Like there's just little things in me that I just took for granted. I had a lot of people would always say to me, how come you're not a model? And, it really triggered me off, because it was like, you sound like my dad. My dad
Yeah,
was like that when I was a child. So it was like, I just didn't want to. But now it's like, oh my God, like I can see where people are coming from and what they're saying and all the rest of it. But yeah, I didn't have a lot of confidence as a kid at all. And now as an adult, like I'm gaining that confidence, and it's nice to show it. Um,
amazing.
but sometimes when you show that confidence, people take it in you're being a tease, or you're doing this or you're doing that for attention, but it's not. It's just, it's nice to feel that way.
To feel
Yeah.
in love with yourself, absolutely. Do, you,
Yeah.
if somebody was to say that to you again now, let's say you're out and somebody was to say to you, "Oh, you look like a model," would it trigger you the way it used to, or would you embrace it more now?
No, I embrace it totally now. I'm just like,
Oh,
oh,
good.
thank you so much. Yeah.
Amazing. Good. Well, going back to the family then, you've reconnected. Has anybody spoken to you about that day where they found out that drastic news? Because it's horrible to hear, isn't it? You're an adult now. I mean, you were an adult then. I'm not saying you weren't, but you were younger. You're older now, and it's been a long time. Has anyone gone, well, where, what happened? Has anyone asked you about what happened? Has anyone wanted to hear because
So,
you're not playing games. It's not something you're just throwing away anymore. It's not something you made up.
yeah. No. Yeah, no, so I was packing, it actually was not long after I was packing the house up. I was in my room and my mum come knocking on the door. She hadn't seen me for probably about a couple of weeks. It was like she avoided me. She didn't know what to say. And she came in and she's like, I just don't understand. Like, I don't understand all these years. Like you've never told me. You've never said anything. I've, I've just don't understand. And I was like, Mum, you never asked me anything. You've never shown that love to me that I needed. And and she said to me, but I feel like I've failed you. I feel like I should have been there. I should have looked after you. And all these things really broke me because it was like, if I had told Mum when I was a little girl, would she have believed me? Like, I don't know that. And it's like, still to this day, I don't know if she does believe me or not. But at the end of the day, I don't care who believes me and who doesn't believe me. I know what happened to me. And I know it still haunts me, it still hurts me, and all the rest of it. But the one thing that matters to me the most is just speaking up now about it because everybody just wants to keep things quiet and doesn't want to talk about things. And it's what's ruins marriages, relationships, being a mother, being a father, being sister, daughter, all those things, or even a friend, because, friendships for me are hard because I find it hard to trust people. I find it hard to understand. Like I sometimes think, oh, okay, they're judging me, or this or that or whatever, and it's hard. It really is. So I find for myself talking about it now isn't as painful. It still hurts, definitely 100%, but I never used to want to talk about it. Like it was like I will avoid it. That's why it was, and for Mum to come forward and ask me, I think that was nice because it showed that she did love and care about me at the end of the day. But and yeah, my brothers and stuff sort of questioned me about it and all that. And I said it, look, at the end of the day, if you don't believe me, then that's fine. But I know what happened to me and I know how it's affected me. And yeah, so I have spoken about it, yeah.
Is that the current state then? What you just said there, then is that the current where we're sitting right now, or has it shifted? Do they feel more aligned with you now, or do they see your pain? Do they feel your pain?
If I asked them, I think they would see for these last few months how hard I hit rock bottom. So I definitely think they understand, but I feel like they also want to bury it and they don't want to talk about it. As in, I feel like my family just feel as if they also failed to protect me. Yeah.
It's hard, isn't it? Because we, I mean, you and me, we don't know what it's like to be on that side of hearing somebody that we really care about say that, right? Do you know what I mean? I know I've never had anyone come up to me and say it, and I go, how did I not know that? I don't know how I would react either. I'd like to think I'd hold that space for you, um, with what I know now and how I dealt with my own stuff. And I know you would because you're personally there within yourself. But it's so hard to understand what they're feeling, isn't it? It's so sad on your part, but we just don't know how it feels on their part. And I feel sad for them because they love you so much and care for you that it's so hard to hear those words come from your mouth. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, by the way. I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying it must be so hard for them to hear it. And I hope you all sit with somebody, and I hope you get to say what you feel needs to be said one day. Maybe, I don't know I don't know what would, if somebody was listening, what would you like them to hear from your mouth now? Then
The funny thing is, like, a lot of people would think within me, I would hate, I would be angry, I would be frustrated, all of the negative things. But you know what? After sitting with it for so many years and dealing with it and all the rest of it, I think I ask why would that's a huge thing for me. Why? Why did you do this to me? The other thing is that I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you felt that you had to do what you did. Um, and I think the other thing is that I forgive you. I want you to know that I forgive you for what you did to me because, how do I know that this didn't happen to you when you were a little child? You know,
absolutely.
and I know that it's hard for yourself to understand that I'm saying I forgive you, but I do truly mean I forgive you. And I don't want you to hold this, if it does, against yourself. I just want you to let it go just as I'm letting it go.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's when the recovery can start to begin for you, can't it? When you forgive people in your past or whatever you're doing. I'm the same. I've forgiven those who've hurt me in my time, and even when I did forgive them, I still vented every day. And I'm quite the opposite from, I think, yeah, typical mentality of guys holding it in. I'm quite the opposite. I'm a talkative dude, and even on the dog park, I'd vent to strangers about what I'd been through and stuff like that. And and even to my friends and close family, I'd vent. Well, maybe more people here than I did in the UK, but I've vented quite a lot. And what I learned over time was venting's very important. Don't get me wrong; it's powerful, but it didn't work for me still. And that's just not to stop people talking, because I think people should talk, don't get me wrong. But venting and not doing anything about it, it just releases the undesired emotions every day. So then when you go to sleep and you wake up the next day, you vent again, right? You just go around and round and round in circles, which might need to do for a period of time. But it comes a point where we do need to change the direction of our mentality regarding it. Maybe crisis needs to happen. And I know we're going to get onto your crisis. I mean, I'm not saying yours hasn't been crisis already, but we're going to share where you went to the depths mentally shortly. But when you release the undesired emotions every day and it starts again, it's really hard, isn't it? Because it just resets. You naturally need to turn it into a positive in order to make that drive to go forward, make it a purpose, make it do something about it, turn it into something powerful. Because trauma is a memory with an emotion attached to it. But if you can learn, and I think I've done that, and it took a very, very long, very long time, was to take the emotion out of the memory. And when you can take the emotion out of the memory, that's when it becomes wisdom. And that's when you can turn it into your purpose.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
It's bizarre, isn't it? And I'm sure, look, if I went through something drastic again, maybe I'd sit in that middle for a long time again, who knows? But I'd hope I've given the body the resources it needs to be able to deal with whatever comes my way in a healthier way than I did. And maybe same for you. Let's go back to your childhood then. How did everything that's happened here then with the sexual abuse, you said it stopped around, you said you went to the doctors and was diagnosed with depression, even though you don't believe it was depression, at 7. What made your family take you to the doctors at 7? What were they experiencing from you that would warrant going to the doctors? Well, we've come to the end of part 1. And Mel's story is a powerful one. It's a reminder that healing is messy, it's non-linear, and it's deeply, deeply personal. Her willingness to share her pain and her hope invites us all to look at our own journey with more compassion and courage. If you've ever felt like your past is too heavy to carry, or that your struggles are too much to share, let Mel's voice remind you, you're not alone. You're just not. Thank you for joining us for part 1. Make sure you come back for part 2, where Mel dives even deeper into her journey of forgiveness, motherhood, and leading her own way. We'll see you then. Join us tomorrow to help you lead your own way. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you then.